house. 7 o'clock in the morning, and where is the noise coming from in that house? Okay, so I can't believe this, but like a day ago there was noise coming from that house there, where they pulled all the railing down in the front. Now today, all that noise, which I hope the mobile is picking up, is coming from the house straight in front. I mean, listen to that. They're doing, it's all false. It would not be possible for every day of the week for major constructions to be going on in at least houses that are like within my earshot. And also the noise level inside the house must be astronomical for it to reach inside my house when it's across the street or down the street or whatever. So it's all deliberate, false. And if you lived here, you'd realise that as it goes on and on day after day, and I'm folding up because I'm not going to, even to make the video, I haven't got any stuff in my ears, because it's just after the sun's come up, so they're starting really early, and so I didn't have anything in my ears because it was okay, like I was up half the night, so at least it was quiet. Once the daylight comes around Leichhardt and on my street, it's just day in and day out there will be noise. Some days it's obviously louder than others, but it's just an unnatural reality. There's just no way that's remotely normal. It's completely a deliberate stage set up around human beings. Or myself, as far as I know. I assume it happens to others. And it's basically just to keep you down, so that you I assume it's to prevent something, to be honest, because it wouldn't be normal based on nothing. But I think that the negative artificial life that is around and seems to predominate and have a single-minded obsession with suppressing real life so that they keep control of their artificial world. I think I'll come away from that door, even though, it's vibrating in my ears, even though it won't come out on the mobile, but it's these noises that come from these machines and things in a very small amount. Occasionally, I would say that even a normal human being wouldn't find it that bad, but because this has been a continual bombardment over a long period of time, and these noises are not accidental. I personally think that they are a deliberate construct by almost like scientifically designed by those that operate the machinery. Not by those that operate the machinery necessarily, but by the instigators of this whole you could say operation of suppression against real life by that particular group of people. You know, a large group of people that share the same beliefs, almost like a religion, and probably is. Because if you believe something and you worship a particular God or entity of any sort, and you back that whole system up that's around that God and those beliefs, those ideas, whatever they may be, clearly they are anti-life, and are about this control matrix. That noise that's coming from that house into my house, or into my ears really right now, is purely a control of me, personally, for whatever reason. And what that reason is, you know, has eluded me, escaped me for the last 5 years since this has been happening. Even though I have become aware of the importance of a certain type of person. Basically what I thought was the human race, but clearly I now make these comments that the human race is not largely what you thought it was. And that the mindset of most human beings, or what appear to be human beings, the inner human body, is not what you think is human. I considered myself to be one of the lesser humans in this world, until I realised there was much lower, shall we say, only in the sense that, you know, like if you consider that you haven't always operated, how you know is the correct way that you should operate as a person, I mean, particularly towards other people, in other words, over a lifetime. Or maybe even over to people that you feel you should have acted better, and that you've given the wrong people the time of day, or that you've made a lot of serious mistakes. And they're not really even mistakes, because you do make them consciously. Well, you think you do anyway, and I guess you do. I mean, I don't think that it's really true to say that you're not aware when you make certain decisions. You might be operating under fear and under a bit of control, but you still know that you're doing something that you don't really want to do. You know it's something that you feel guilty about. But you sweep it under the rug, or you, I'm not sure. You may not be operating under full awareness, but that could be an excuse too. Maybe you are, maybe you aren't. I don't know. I think you could. I mean, I've been aware over the last few years, more or less, that I should be careful about how I act and whatever, but I've still done many wrong things even in these last few years where negative emotions, but that's because of noise like that outside that deliberately puts you into an angry frame of mind so that you agitate because they don't want you in the positive vibration. They don't want you to be as you even are trying to be. They want to make you like them. That noise coming even into my ears right now, which is not going to come out in the mobile, is aggressive, angry, and very negative for human ears. It's not a pleasant frequency at all. And it's deliberately designed that way. And I didn't even intend to make this video. I could make these videos all the time on the noise that goes on. I can't even be bothered. Usually it gets the better of me to where I couldn't even be bothered in getting the mobile. And they had me in such a negative frame of mind that I couldn't film stuff with the mobile for the first few years anyway. You know, like I wouldn't take it outside or do any, even when I started making the videos, I never would even film a sound outside. Wouldn't do that. But, you know, that's that noise that's coming like where it comes right outside of a house, which means it's coming from inside someone else's house on the other side of the road or down the street or something, and it's coming all the way all over the street. And if that was a normal street, if this Henry Street here where I live was a normal street instead of a staged, fake, camouflaged, covert, controlling, anti-life street, in an anti-life suburb, probably in an anti-life city, but I couldn't say that 100%. I don't go to every part of Sydney, but I'm pretty sure that either way that would be the case, and they would follow you around anyway. But certainly this particular suburb, it's almost every square inch of it, as far as my observation goes, you know. And they don't care that you know. But like I say, if it was a normal street and the other people in this so-called street were normal people, instead of fakely pretending that they care about some of these things, they actually don't. They only care about things like preventing new people coming into the street. They'll go out of their way to stop that sort of thing, but the continual noise, which should be driving them crazy if they were normal people, they ignore because they must be part of it. If you ignore something that goes on day in and day out, and actually they know all these people anyway because they are all one single unit, almost like sharing one mind because they have the same mindset. They're in conjunction with one another all the time. They're communicating with one another all the time. They don't think for themselves. They present a free spirit thinking, which they copy from normal people. That's why they try to associate with us. That's why they have used technology to download our thinking and our thoughts. And that is why we do not have much of a chance up against this situation in the reality, especially as we real humans are all separated from one another. We're either separated from one another or those that are even close are unaware of what's going on, to where if even I say something to if I met a normal person and said and told them what I'm saying in these videos, they probably think I was round the twist. Some of them. I think that some people are, and some of them just wouldn't want to know because it's too fearful. So if they're not being exposed to it at this time, they'd almost be too frightened to acknowledge that their world was like this, that they're basically being watched all the time and controlled. You know, under what is under, like control, to where they're not aware that they're being controlled. Not to the extent that they actually are. Like it's one thing to say, oh, well, you have to do this or you have to follow certain rules, and there may be some surveillance that you're aware of, and there are certain restrictions that you're aware of. Certainly that world has become more that way for people, but there's usually a logical explanation for it, so people buy into it and say, well, I'll accept that because there's a good reason for it. Whereas if they knew that it all wasn't for the reasons they're told, but it really is about suppressing them and suppressing their kind and keeping us all separate and in the dark from one another, so that we don't have any ability to have any say in our world.